The legend of the Bell Witch is one of America's most chilling supernatural stories, filled with ghostly encounters, eerie voices, and an entity that tormented an entire family. But is it just a legend, or did something truly terrifying haunt the Bell family? Let's dive into the mystery that explores the strange and unsettling details of this infamous case, the Bell family and their new home. In the early 1800s, John Bell Sr. moved his family to Adams, Tennessee, settling on a large farm in what seemed like a peaceful, quiet area. The family lived comfortably, raising crops and livestock, until strange occurrences began to disturb their once tranquil home. It started with odd noises, knocking sounds, scratching on the walls, and the eerie sound of chains dragging across the floors. At first, the Bells dismissed it as animals outside or the house settling, but soon the disturbances became impossible to ignore. The unsettling events escalated when objects in the house moved on their own, doors slammed shut with no explanation, and the children reported seeing shadowy figures lurking in their rooms at night. The Bell family had no idea that they were about to become the center of one of the most terrifying hauntings in American history. The Spirit Speaks, a voice from beyond. What made the Bell Witch haunting different from other ghost stories was the spirit's ability to speak. As time passed, the unseen entity gained a voice and began to have full conversations with the Bell family. The spirit would whisper menacing threats, quote scripture, and even mock the family members. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Bell Witch was its obsession with tormenting young Betsy Bell, John Bell's daughter. Betsy was slapped, pinched, and thrown to the ground by invisible hands. At night, she would wake up screaming as the spirit pulled at her hair and covers. The entity soon revealed that it could predict the future, correctly foretelling events within the Bell family and even events in the community. It also mimicked voices perfectly, confusing the family by calling out to them in each other's voices. The entity wasn't just haunting the Bells, it was playing psychological games with them. The witch's identity. Who or what was it? The Bell Witch claimed to be many things at different times, but the most famous claim was that it was the spirit of a woman named Kate Batts. Kate was a neighbor who allegedly had a dispute with John Bell over land. Many believed she had cursed the family, and when the haunting began, the entity even identified itself as Kate, leading locals to refer to it as the Bell Witch. However, there was no solid evidence that Kate Batts was actually involved. Some historians believe she was simply a misunderstood woman who became the scapegoat for an unexplained supernatural force. Others speculate that the Bell Witch was not a ghost at all, but something far older and more powerful, perhaps even a demonic entity. Regardless of its true origin, the Bell Witch's influence grew stronger over time, terrifying not just the Bell family, but everyone who dared to visit their farm. The haunting escalates, a terror that spreads. As word of the haunting spread, curious neighbors and visitors came to witness the strange phenomena. They were not disappointed. Many people reported hearing the witch's voice, feeling unseen hands grab them, or being physically attacked by an invisible force. The Bell Witch delighted in embarrassing and scaring guests, often insulting them or revealing their deepest secrets in front of others. Even local preachers and skeptics who came to investigate were forced to admit that something unexplainable was happening in the Bell home. The spirit showed intelligence and wit, sometimes holding philosophical conversations or discussing biblical passages with visitors. But just as often, it would torment anyone who doubted its existence, laughing mockingly as it terrified those who tried to challenge it. The hauntings became so extreme that even seasoned ghost hunters of the time were left speechless. The President's Encounter, Andrew Jackson, and the Bell Witch. One of the most fascinating stories about the Bell Witch involves Andrew Jackson, who would later become the 7th President of the United States. At the time, Jackson was a well-known military general, and he had heard the terrifying rumors about the Bell Witch. Intrigued, he and several of his men decided to visit the Bell farm and see if the spirit was real. As they approached the Bell property, their wagon suddenly stopped. The wheels refused to turn, as if held in place by an unseen force. The men tried everything to get it moving, but nothing worked. Then, out of nowhere, they heard a disembodied voice say, "You may proceed, General, but I will see you again tonight." That night, Jackson's men reported experiencing strange noises, physical attacks, and eerie whispers that sent shivers down their spines. By morning, the future president and his men left the farm in a hurry, swearing that the stories about the Bell Witch were true. Jackson allegedly said, "I'd rather fight the entire British army than face the Bell Witch again." This chilling encounter remains one of the most famous incidents in American ghost lore, the death of John Bell, a murder from beyond the grave. As the haunting continued for years, the Bell Witch set its sights on John Bell Sr., the head of the household. The spirit had always shown a deep hatred for John, often cursing him and vowing to end his life. In 1820, John Bell suddenly fell mysteriously ill. He suffered from violent seizures, fatigue, and difficulty swallowing, symptoms no doctor could explain. The Bell Witch delighted in his suffering, taunting him daily and whispering, "You will never recover." One morning, John Bell was found unresponsive in his bed. Nearby, his family discovered a small vial of an unknown black liquid. The Bell Witch laughed and claimed, "I gave old Jack a big dose of that last night. It fixed him good." To test the liquid, they gave a small amount to a cat, which died instantly. It was clear that John Bell had been poisoned, but the family had no explanation for how it happened, except for the Bell Witch's claim of responsibility. John Bell's death is considered the only recorded case of a spirit allegedly murdering a human. The witch's final words, a promise to return. Following John Bell's death, the entity's presence slowly began to fade. The Bell family reported fewer disturbances, and by 1821, the spirit announced it was leaving, but not forever. Before disappearing, it promised to return in 7 years. True to its word, the Bell Witch allegedly reappeared in 1828, targeting John Bell Jr. Unlike before, the interactions were less hostile, with the entity focusing on philosophical discussions rather than tormenting the family. After a few weeks, the spirit once again vanished, claiming it would return in another 107 years. If this was true, that would have placed the next visit sometime around 1935, but no widely known reports suggest the Bell Witch made another dramatic reappearance. However, many believe its presence never truly left Adams, Tennessee. The Bell Witch Cave, a gateway to the supernatural. Even after the Bell family's hauntings subsided, many believe that the Bell Witch never truly left. One location, in particular, continues to be associated with paranormal activity, the Bell Witch Cave. Located near the Bell family's property in Adams, Tennessee, this small, eerie cave has long been rumored to be the witch's spiritual lair. Visitors to the cave have reported experiencing strange phenomena, including disembodied voices, shadowy figures, and sudden temperature drops. Some claim to have been touched, pushed, or even scratched by unseen forces while inside the cave. The legend states that anyone who takes a rock or artifact from the cave will be cursed by the Bell Witch, leading to bad luck or even tragedy. Paranormal investigators have explored the cave, capturing EVs, electronic voice phenomena, and unexplained movements on camera. Skeptics argue that the cave's eerie reputation is merely fueled by folklore and psychological suggestion, but even hardened doubters have left the site feeling uneasy. The Bell Witch Cave remains a popular attraction for ghost hunters and thrill seekers, standing as a chilling reminder that the spirit may still linger, waiting for the right moment to make its presence known again. Theories behind the haunting: hoax, hysteria, or something more. While many believe the Bell Witch was a genuine paranormal entity, others have proposed more rational explanations for the haunting. Some historians suggest that the events may have been a hoax perpetuated by the Bell family or their neighbors. According to this theory, John Bell's feud with Kate Batts may have led to exaggerated stories that snowballed into a full-blown legend. Another explanation is that the haunting was a case of mass hysteria, where fear and suggestion led the family and the community to believe they were experiencing supernatural events. Psychological stress, lack of scientific understanding, and religious beliefs at the time may have contributed to the perceived paranormal activity. Some skeptics even suggest that Betsy Bell may have unconsciously caused many of the disturbances, possibly as a form of psychic projection or poltergeist activity triggered by emotional distress. This theory is based on similar cases where young girls experiencing trauma have been linked to unexplained phenomena. Despite these alternative explanations, there are countless first-hand accounts of eerie occurrences that cannot be easily dismissed. Whether it was a ghost, a hoax, or something even stranger, the mystery of the Bell Witch, the influence of the Bell Witch on pop culture. The legend of the Bell Witch has inspired books, movies, and television shows, cementing its place in American folklore. One of the most famous horror films, The Blair Witch Project, 1999, was heavily influenced by the Bell Witch legend. The movie's marketing campaign played on the same themes of an unseen, malevolent force tormenting its victims, much like the entity that haunted the Bell family. Several books have been written about the haunting, including An Authenticated History of the Bell Witch, 1894, by Martin Van Buren Ingram, one of the first detailed accounts of the events. The legend has also been featured in numerous paranormal TV shows, including Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Witness, and Mysteries at the Museum. The Bell Witch legend has endured for over 200 years, proving that it still has the power to captivate. Despite these alternative explanations, there are accounts of eerie occurrences that cannot be dismissed. Whether it was a ghost, a hoax, or something even stranger, the mystery of the Bell Witch remains unsolved. The influence of the Bell Witch on pop. The legend of the Bell Witch has inspired books, movies, and cementing place in American folklore. One of the most famous horror films, The Blair Witch 1999, was heavily influenced by the Bell Witch legend. The movie's marketing campaign themes of an unseen, malevolent force tormenting its victims, much like the haunted the Bell family. Several books have been written on The Haunting, including An Authority of the Bell Witch, 1894, by Martin Van Buren Ingram. One accounts of the events. The legend has also been featured in numerous paranormal shows, including Adventures, Paranormal Witness, and Mystery. The Bell Witch legend has endured for 200 years, proving that it still has the power to terrify and intrigue audiences. Whether one believes in the supernatural or not, the sheer longevity and influence of the Bell suggest that something true happened in Adams, Tennessee. Would the Bell Witch still be active today? Many believe that the witch's spirit never fully left Adams, Tennessee. Even today, visitors report strange occurrences near the Bell Witch Cave and the Old Bell. Witnesses claim to hear whisperings, footsteps in the dark, chilling laughter with no apparent source. Some paranormal investigators suggest that the residual haunting, meaning the energy from the past, appears in the area, replaying events like a tape on loop. Others believe that it could be an intelligent haunting, spirit actively engaging with people who visit the site. There have even been modern encounters where individuals claim to have been physically touched, had their belongings moved, or felt an oppressive presence area. Say that the Bell Witch still watches the land, waiting for the right moment to return known to the world. Despite the skepticism surrounding the legend, the continued reports of paranormal suggest that the myth of the Bell Witch is far from over.